Welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel, everyone. This is Rich making another video on XRP today, as usual. We're going to talk about XRP today, so I hope everyone is having a fantastic day wherever they are in the world. And I must begin with this Blue Hawk Legends quote. This was an excellent post, in my opinion. No one can predict the price of any one token. Why? Because you never know how much money will be on that blockchain from any of the following sources: derivatives, equities, bonds, gold, silver data, P2P, B2B, SMB, cross-border payments, tokenization, and so on. It's also true. The amount of value that will be added to the XRP ledger is still unknown. The amount that XRP will fluctuate in value is still unknown. The extent of this is still not fully clear to us. Let me tell you something, though. All of the current events are preparing us for the value that will flow over the XRP ledger and the future financial system. It will be in the trillions of dollars, and it will undoubtedly cause the price of XRP to rise sharply in the near future. However, no one is aware of the exact cost yet. Regarding a fixed price, there is also a lot of conjecture. The XRP myth was debunked. There is no such thing as flipping a switch. Let's be honest for a moment. The notion that Ripple will abruptly flick a switch and cause XRP to moon overnight is bizarre. That is more of a collective fantasy than a fact. There isn't a Ripple master plan, a secret lever, or a hidden countdown to take XRP to new heights. It began as hype, was distorted by the imagination, and is now widely accepted as gospel. What is true? The technology, collaborations, and utility of XRP. What isn't? A nightly enchantment. Have faith in the basics. Challenge the fairy stories. I don't sell dreams here. I'm here to be honest. That is the result of everything XRP. But he's completely mistaken, in my opinion. What I said was as follows. There is undoubtedly a point when the switch is flipped, but it's not what people believe. It occurs when the conventional system transitions to digital, which is now taking place. The shift to digital is currently taking place. At this point, the banks will move from the XRP ledger's testing phase to its live phase. When this occurs, the price of XRP will either see a significant increase or reach its fixed price. In either case, XRP holders will be thrilled when it occurs. And I see it that way, as the point at which all of these banks use XRP and the XRP ledger to go live. Let's go with the transition nevertheless. Smoke is the source of this. According to the Bank of Canada, they will function effectively for a few years until things start to go awry. At first, you can make minor adjustments, but ultimately, you'll need to move on to something new. She thinks that something else might be the blockchain. Something so transforming is hard not to be captivated by. The methods in which this technology is being applied have an impact on central banks across all of our operations. As I mentioned earlier, they will move from the current system to blockchain. Like a light switch being flipped, Monica Long even discusses the US banks. Listen to it. Yes, the shift in bank engagement in the United States nearly occurred overnight following the election. As if a light switch had been turned. You then consider banks that provide transaction banking services or reserve bank services to stable coin issuers like us. If we recall March, the triple S collapse, Silvergate, the signature, and so forth, and the entire industry was at systemic risk because of that. Therefore, I believe that the crypto economy can be healthier the more banks there are, the more distribution there is, and yes, the more banking infrastructure there is to help us. I have thus undoubtedly observed a shift in that. The other significant shift. The banks want XRP, as I have been telling you all along. Ripple is already being considered by the banks as a potential alternative. Ripple offers simple transitions and plug-and-play solutions for the bank. And every bank desires that. They want things to be as simple as possible. They do not want the cost to be high. They want it to be something that is easy for them to comprehend. And ultimately, that time will come when the switch is flipped. It's not too far away now, in my opinion. I would say, well, we probably have maybe 4 or 5 years to go if we went back a few years. Right now, I believe that we may just have a year or two left. With ISO 222, it may potentially occur sooner. With thousands of cryptocurrency businesses and digital assets, why did the SEC target Ripple and XRP? Now there's a level playing field. Long ago, Brad Garlinghouse said it out. Listen to the Treasury Secretary's remarks regarding fair competition. Large financial institutions have benefited from financial policy at the expense of smaller ones for far too long. Not anymore. Not anymore. Whether it's your neighborhood mortgage and loan company or JP Morgan, our administration wants to give all banks the opportunity to thrive. By eliminating bureaucracy, it seeks to provide capital to Americans in need. Wall Street has been wealthier than it has ever been in the last 40 years, or essentially since I started working there, and it can still expand and prosper. However, the Trump plan is centered on Main Street over the ensuing 4 years. It's time for Main Street. Now it's time for Main Street to hire staff. The time has come for Main Street to stimulate investment. The time has come for Main Street to bring back the American dream. Banking industry. So consider that he just stated that we will have a level playing field for the next 4 years. Listen to what Brad has to say. A small number of institutions essentially control the whole global payment system. In the end, they get paid by all the other banks to assist in settling the worldwide liquidity needed for retail, small enterprises, and commerce. All things considered, it's kind of astonishing that we still live in a time where the quickest way for you or me to send money to London is to drive to, well, for you, for SFO, for me here in New York, to JFK or Newark, and then take a plane to London. Therefore, to some, and that's what makes XRP revolutionary. At the banking level, it will level the playing field. Since everyone will be able to compete in the future, JP Morgan will suddenly face competition from the bank across the street. Scott Besson continued by saying that the US government is investigating regulatory barriers to new payment methods, stable currency, and blockchain technology. As XRP holders, we are very close. It will only be a few months before kids begin to speak in such a manner. Years from now, this won't happen. Steady coin is just that. All that CBDC is that, simply put, it's a stable coin. However, it appears that the ECB wants to maintain control. Because Christine Lagarde is unwilling to cede any authority to anyone else, they will thus push out the digital euro or central bank digital money. She desires to maintain such authority at the central bank. Here in the United States, Donald Trump chose to work with a private corporation instead of the Federal Reserve. For this reason, rather than using a digital currency issued by a central bank, we will use a stable digital dollar coin. According to Coinbase, financial institutions find XRP appealing due to its usefulness in ODL. What have I always been saying? It all comes down to utility and on-demand liquidity. Wrath of Common clarified certain elements in the file disclosure, while many community members concentrated on the implications of Coinbase's self-certified XRP future contract. The exchange pointed out that XRP's capacity to support on-demand liquidity and cross-border settlements via RippleNet is one of its main use cases.